In the balmy evenings of the 1970s, California was a land of sun-soaked beaches and vibrant nightlife. But beneath this picturesque facade lurked a darkness that would haunt the state for decades. The Golden State Killer, a moniker that would strike fear into the hearts of many, was about to begin a reign of terror that would remain unsolved for years. Joseph James DeAngelo Jr, a former police officer and Vietnam veteran, blended seamlessly into the fabric of suburban life. He was a man who wore many masks: father, neighbor, a familiar face in the community. Yet, unbeknownst to those around him, he was also a predator, meticulously planning and executing a series of heinous crimes that would leave a trail of devastation. In 1976, the first known attack occurred in the quiet neighborhood of Rancho Cordova. A young couple, sleeping peacefully in their home, were awakened by the chilling sound of a soft voice demanding silence. The intruder, masked and armed, instilled terror as he bound them with shoelaces. After violating the woman, he vanished into the night, leaving them in a state of shock and fear. The community was shaken. Local law enforcement struggled to make sense of the attack, and the media's sensationalized reporting only fueled public anxiety. This incident was the harbinger of a series of rapes and murders that would escalate in brutality and audacity. As the months turned into years, the Golden State Killer's modus operandi became apparent. He targeted couples, often breaking in while they slept, using psychological manipulation and physical violence. He would taunt his victims, leaving behind chilling messages that would haunt their memories. In 1977, the killer claimed his first murder victim, a young woman named Katie. Her lifeless body was discovered in the woods, and the brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through the community. Families barricaded their doors, and fear became a constant companion. Law enforcement agencies across California launched extensive investigations. Task forces were formed, and detectives worked tirelessly, interviewing witnesses and collecting evidence. Yet each lid seemed to dissolve into thin air, leaving investigators frustrated and the public terrified. Amid the chaos, a breakthrough occurred. A connection was established between several of the attacks. The killer's signature, a distinctive knot used to bind victims, became a focal point in the investigation. However, despite the growing body of evidence, the case remained cold. As the 1980s approached, society's understanding of crime and technology was evolving. The introduction of DNA evidence offered a glimmer of hope. Police departments began using genetic markers to compare against known offenders. However, DNA testing was still in its infancy, and the Golden State Killer remained elusive. In 1986, the killer committed his last known rape in a suburban neighborhood. A young couple was attacked, but this time the woman fought back fiercely. In a moment of desperation, she managed to injure him, providing investigators with a crucial DNA sample. Yet the trail soon grew cold once more. With each passing year, the Golden State Killer faded from headlines, but for his victims and their families, the scars remained fresh. Survivors grappled with trauma, while the families of the murdered endured a profound sense of loss. The case became a haunting whisper across California, a ghost that lingered in the shadows. In the late 1990s, as technology advanced, a new tool emerged: genealogy websites. This innovation would eventually change the landscape of criminal investigations, but at that moment it was still largely unrecognized by law enforcement. Fast forward to 2018. A determined cold case investigator, following a hunch, decided to upload DNA evidence from the Golden State Killer's crimes to a genealogy database. The results were astonishing. Through a distant family connection, a name emerged: Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. As detectives delved into DeAngelo's background, they uncovered a life filled with contradictions. Once a respected police officer, his past was marred by a string of odd behaviors and disturbing patterns. It became clear that the man who had slipped through the cracks of justice for so long was now within reach. On April 24, 2018, law enforcement officials descended upon DeAngelo's home in Citrus Heights. The air was thick with anticipation as officers knocked on the door. When he answered, they arrested him without incident. The Golden State Killer was finally in custody. As the news broke, a wave of relief washed over California. Victims and their families felt a flicker of hope, a chance for justice after decades of anguish. Court proceedings began, and the world watched as DeAngelo faced his past. The trial was a spectacle, drawing attention from media outlets and true crime enthusiasts alike. Survivors bravely shared their stories, recounting the horrors they endured. Each testimony was a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit, and the courtroom became a sanctuary for healing. But the emotional toll was immense. As evidence was presented, DeAngelo sat stoically, a figure shrouded in mystery. The defense team argued against the overwhelming DNA evidence, but the prosecution painted a damning portrait of a man who had evaded justice for far too long. On June 29, 2020, the jury delivered their verdict. Joseph James DeAngelo was found guilty of multiple counts of murder, rape, and kidnapping. As the judge pronounced the sentences, the courtroom erupted in a mix of applause and tears. Justice had finally been served. In a poignant moment, survivors were given the opportunity to address DeAngelo directly. Their words were powerful, a testament to their strength in the face of unimaginable horror. For many, it marked the beginning of a new chapter 1 of healing and reclaiming their lives. In the aftermath of the trial, the Golden State Killer case became a symbol of hope for cold cases worldwide. The use of genealogy and DNA evidence revolutionized the way law enforcement approached unsolved crimes. It demonstrated the power of technology to bring justice to those who had suffered in silence. But for the victims, the scars remained. Many found solace in community support groups, while others dedicated themselves to advocacy, ensuring that the voices of survivors would never be silenced again. The Golden State Killer may have been caught, but the legacy of his crimes would forever echo in the hearts of those he had wronged. Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As he sat in his cell, the world outside continued to grapple with the implications of his actions. The Golden State Killer was no longer a ghost. He was a man, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the most unsuspecting of places. Case sparked discussions about mental health, the criminal justice system, and the importance of addressing trauma. It served as a clarion call for advancements in forensic science and the necessity of utilizing every tool available to seek justice. As California moved forward, The Golden State Killer became a part of its history, a grim chapter that showcased both the depths of human depravity and the resilience of those who rise above it. The lessons learned from this case would guide future generations in their pursuit of justice, ensuring that the shadows of the past would never overshadow the light of truth.